We are back. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Money Down Pod, episode number 17. I am Kayvon and Shawn. That is Shawn White. We are the host of the Money Down Pod, and we are coming at you guys here for the Week 12 NFL breakdown of some of the hottest and best games of the week. Shawn, happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. How are you doing today, man?
Doing well, ready for this holiday. Tomorrow, we're recording this on Wednesday, and it's going out on Friday for everybody. So, everyone that's listening, I hope you all had a great holiday and Thanksgiving as well. So,
Yep.
yeah, ready to get into these games. It's going to be a good weekend of football, so I'm excited for it.
Yeah, let me ask you real quick before we get into these games. Are you and your family are you guys like you eat before the Cowboy? Because a lot of the tradition usually is families eat. My family doesn't do it this week, but they get all stuffed up, and then they're like, on their beer and full on the couches for the Cowboys game. Like we usually eat later in the day. How do you guys do it?
Okay, so originally, when it was back in North Carolina with my group of family, we would
Yeah.
always eat at like 12 o'clock, right there during the Lions game. Never
Okay.
never really watched the Lions game. We'd
Yeah.
eat right there, and then it'd be the rest of the day. We'd kind of just lounge around, enjoy each other, watch the Cowboy game. So
Yeah.
now that I'm up here with my father-in-law, so it's my wife's dad, they kind of do it differently. They do like a massive amount of cocktails starting at 12 o'clock. So they start drinking early. And then we'll get into the meal probably about 2:33. And then he's a Cowboys fan, so we're ready to watch the game right after eating and continue drinking. So that's
Okay.
kind of how it goes with this one.
That sounds
So
fun to
yeah.
me. Now you
Yeah.
sold me when you said cocktail hour at 12 o'clock. Like that's my type of party right there. I would like that. That sounds fun. Yeah, we usually actually we mix it around. We really don't do it as set as we should. We just don't really care as much about that. Like we'll sometimes eat right after the Lions game. We'll sometimes eat right after, like we'll do like a dinner, like a Thanksgiving dinner where we'll eat like after the Cowboys game and then before the night game. It just depends. The last couple times the Falcons have played in the night game, so I had to be done before then. But we played the Saints and got waxed, so it didn't really matter. But it all involves around your team. But anyways, that's something I like to ask people because I think it's interesting. Everyone has different traditions. That's one of the big things about Thanksgiving.
All right, let's go one more Thanksgiving question since we're on it then.
Yeah.
Underrated and overrated Thanksgiving dish. Go ahead.
All right, so the most overrated Thanksgiving dish, and I don't even know if this is a dish to be honest, but it's just what ham. I don't get why people have ham on Thanksgiving. I don't like ham on Thanksgiving. It's turkey and only turkey. Underrated, and you can say this is not underrated or not. Mac and cheese is the most bomb thing ever. Doesn't get enough praise.
Yeah, hey, mac and cheese is the truth for sure. Hey, but I'm a ham guy, so I like the ham and the turkey, man.
No, I
Unless you got
get
a
it.
lot
Hey,
of
hey,
turkey
I'm
going.
not hating on ham, guys. I'm about ham as well. Just no, not on Thanksgiving, bro. You can't do they need to go away. Ham needs to go away on Thanksgiving.
See, I see. I'm a dark meat turkey guy, so a lot of that tries to get snatched up in my household too. So you got to make sure you have the ham as a backup there because I'm not
That's
trying to
fair.
get into the white meat on the turkey over there either. But so yeah, so overrated for me. I'm not a big fan of stuffing, which I know is going to sound terrible for a lot of
I
people, but
actually
I'm
agree
not a
with
big
that.
fan of it.
I agree with that.
So, and then underrated is obviously I actually really like the mashed potatoes. Never gets enough love. I mean,
Oh,
it's
I
the
love that.
go-to side, but you got to mention it every time. It's at every one of them, but you got to mention it. It's the go-to number one side, in my opinion. Got to have the mashed potatoes.
Love mashed potatoes. Absolutely love mashed potatoes, man. Though any carb, bro, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, I'll eat that the whole time. Like I'm all about the carbs there. Last question. This isn't even a Thanksgiving question. When you guys are having cocktail hour, are you doing beers or are you doing actual mixed drinks there?
Oh, I'm all mixed drinks. I'm not a beer guy like
You're not
that.
a beer guy at all?
I'll drink some beers every now and then, but I'm always a start with the liquor type of guy first. That's just my personality.
I
Give
love
me
that.
give me some whiskey. Bring it out. Let's go.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, especially on Thanksgiving. So I'm a beer guy. I love beer guy. But on Thanksgiving, it's mixed drinks because I'm already going to get so full. Beer just it adds to that too much. I don't want that beer fullness right now. So I'm with you. Hey, let us know in the chat. All right. I know this is coming out later, but let us know, what is your most overrated and underrated Thanksgiving dish? I think that's the best question you have there. And really, really interesting question here. And this gets people pretty heated. Do you think the tradition of the Lions playing on Thanksgiving needs to stop? Do you think that they need to put new teams on there? That gets a lot of fans really interested, and we could go on about this forever, but I get it. It's the Hallmark thing, but does it need a change in your opinion?
I'll give a quick one. I think they're fine playing it. I mean, it's 12 o'clock. Like I said, except for you saying you eat later in the day, I've literally never met anyone that eats later in the day.
Yeah, no,
Everyone that I
it's
know,
pretty weird for us to do that.
everyone I know eats kind of like 12 o'clock. Maybe in
Yeah.
the Midwest, they might wait until after the Lions game or something if they're big Detroit Lions fans,
Yeah.
or if it's the Vision or something. But honestly, I'd keep them on there.
No, I
They've
would keep
been
on
on
there
there
too. I agree, but I've heard people throughout this week, and I've heard it last year too, start to say, get the Lions off there, and I think that's ridiculous. That it's a staple. I like history like that. Keep them on there, keep it going. Doesn't matter if they suck.
Yeah, if they didn't take them off after that 0-16 year, then I mean, just keep them on there at this point. Cowboys have been down. Cowboys had their up and downs too. They're on there every time too. So
yeah, the Cowboys have had a lot of downs. All right, let's get into it here. Some fun stuff. This is the Money Down Pod. I'm Kayvon Izami. That's Shawn White. This is your NFL preview, episode number 17 of the show all around. So really starting to roll with the Money Down Pod here, and we hope you guys are enjoying it. Subscribe, like. It does us a bunch of wonders. Shawn, I think we should get right into, obviously our teams play this week. We'll get into that later on, the Falcons and the Jags. For the people that really want to get into a show right away, I think we should start with some more heavy hitters, and then we'll talk about our teams towards the end. But with that being said, if you guys are new to the show, Shawn is a huge Jags fan. I'm a huge Falcons fan. Yes, you can laugh at our faces. We get it all the time. That's fine. We've been trying to think of a good bet. So if you're out there, if you can think of a good bet where the loser has to do on the show or do something where they have to tweet on the show's account, Twitter account, let us know. Let us know. We'll give you brownie points for tuning in and for coming up with a creative idea like that. So let us know. But that's something we can talk about in the breakdown. I want to talk about right off the bat what I think is the biggest game of the week, and that's the Rams-Packers. The reason I think that's the biggest game of the week is because of what's happened to the Rams the last 2 weeks. The Rams are on a skid. The Rams are falling back to earth after they looked like the best team in the league. They've lost Robert Woods. They brought in OBJ. A lot of people think that that's fine. I personally don't. I think losing Robert Woods is a massive blow to them. They had their bye week. Do they get things right in Lambeau this Sunday?
yeah, that's the question. And I mean, the Rams are on a downfall, that's for sure. Robert Woods is a big miss. I don't think people realize how big of a part of the offense he is just from the fact that they like to jet sweep him around even when he doesn't get the ball a lot, really influence the defense on a horizontal path with their eyes. And he really contributes to the run game in that aspect as well as the passing game. So I don't think people really give Woods the credit he deserves just because sometimes he isn't the biggest fantasy monster like Cooper Kupp is. But Woods is being missed real bad. The other thing that's been killing him is that interior of the offensive line has been getting eat up these last 2 weeks. And I'm going to be curious to see how they handle like Kenny Clark up the middle and stuff like that, especially with the Packers defense that's coming off giving up probably their worst game defensively of the year, really, to Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. So that's kind of where I want to see it. I want to see if the Rams offense can get on track, and I want to see if the Packers defense can get back a little bit to their old form. It's going to be interesting to see how they get OBJ involved after having him for that bye week, because that's going to be a big thing too. Maybe he'll do some of that jet sweep action that Woods was used to doing, but they're not the same type of receiver, so don't get that twisted. So maybe he'll do a little of the jet sweeps. The big thing for the Rams is going to be establishing the run. They're going to need to get Darrell Henderson going. Whenever Darrell Henderson plays well, it seems like they play a lot better. That's when their offense is clicking. He's been off the last 2 weeks. They haven't ran the ball as much, and they've took 2 L's. So it's going to be a get-right game for the Rams right here, or else they're going to be in trouble of falling down even further and maybe even slip in another wild card spot based on the Vikings and Niners outcome, and we can see how the free fall goes. They might end up playing a way better team in that first round.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They are way too talented for this to be happening. And again, the Robert Woods injury is serious, but they're still too talented where they can't use that as an excuse. Look, I don't even know if this is going to sound rough. I don't even know if Odell's a good receiver anymore, man. And I'm not trying to make this some hot take special here. What the hell has he done in the last 2.5, 3 years for us to be able to sit up here and say that he can just fill right into Robert Woods' spot? First of all, he can't, based on what you said schematically, even if he is a good receiver still, he just doesn't do the things that Robert Woods does for that Sean McVay offense. Second of all, I don't know if he is. And if he does show flashes, I don't know if he can stay healthy. There's too many questions there for Odell right now for me to be able to see before I can go about it. But the main thing here is getting Stafford right. They got to come out and get Stafford right. And I'm not saying it's all on Stafford because a lot of those picks hit off the receivers' hands. The receivers against the Niners were dropping passes it was terrible. Higbee dropped like 4 passes. 2 of them went off his hands, went into interceptions. The receivers have to step up. The defense has to play way better. That defense is allowing too many yards, and Sean McVay has pressure on him. See, the thing we don't talk about enough with Sean McVay here is he's the wonder boy. I mean, he's the golden boy. He is the guy that has reshaped the NFL. He is the guy that every single NFL team is looking to get. He's never had pressure on him because they went to the Super Bowl. Look how young they are. They lost to the greatest coach ever in Bill Belichick. It happens. They have a couple of down years. Oh, that's all on Jared Goff. Don't worry. Sean McVay's still the guy. Sean McVay has gotten everything he's wanted. He's gotten his quarterback. He's gotten rid of the other guy that was always taking the blames, not him. This is on him. If he can't do it this year, and I'm talking if he can't win a couple playoff games and at least get to the Eastern Conference Finals, that's going to be a huge problem in the NFC. I'm over here thinking about basketball, the NFC Championship game. That's going to be a blow to Sean McVay, man. That's not a winning season. That's a very unsuccessful season in my mind, no matter how good the NFC is. He did all this stuff for this organization to get Jared Goff out. He got his guy in. It's on him to turn these things around.
Yeah, Odell's on a rental too, so they definitely did that, and that trade for Von Miller. They're all in this year, so if they don't actually make some noise in the playoffs, it's going to be a massive disappointment, especially in his mind, I'm sure, because he's okay and all this stuff with Les Snead. They're just aggressive. I mean, don't get me wrong, they'd probably pull the trigger next year if they needed to again on whatever they need to get done. They will. They're just that type of aggressive team, but they definitely need to make some noise this year to validate everything going on. It's a weird thing going on with that offense where McVay has always been a run first guy, and he's now just a drop back pass guy with Stafford there. So I know we need to get Stafford going that you were talking about, but they got to get the run game going too to balance it off and not put as much heat on Stafford dropping back as much either. The other thing I'd like to say is the Packers are legit, so this could be a tight game. And the Packers are probably going to need to bounce back because Rodgers and them is going to want that bye and that home field advantage. And if they want to keep pace with the Cardinals at this point, because I'm telling you, the Cardinals are going to come back real good with Kyler Murray after this bye week. So if they want to keep pace, they're going to need to win this game as well. That's going to be a Titan versus Titan matchup, I believe. And if the Packers can get that interior pass rush going and they just play offense the way they are capable of, because Devontae Adams plays well against Jalen Ramsey whenever they match up against each other. It's one of the lone receivers Jalen Ramsey really does have issues with. Devontae's just so good with his release and getting off the line, his route running. I mean, it's not going to be a cakewalk for that Rams defense to stop them either. So it's going to be something to see right there. The one thing I'd worry about the Packers offense is being down Bakhtiari and Elgton Jenkins. Unless Bakhtiari can come back, that left tackle is going to be an issue for that Rams pass rush.
Yeah, no doubt. And also, I mean, we didn't see any issues with his toe, Rodgers' toe last Sunday. But since then, he's come out and said that, I mean, this is one of the worst toe injuries he's ever had. He's really talking about his toe here. And I don't know if he's just – I don't know. Yeah, I mean that's serious. That could be a big part of it because one thing that Rodgers does so good is he's mobile in terms of not that he's going to run for 20 yards on a play, even though we have seen him done it. He's mobile in and out of the pocket. He's able to give himself time to unleash to a Devontae Adams or something like that. So that's a huge part of Rodgers' game. And if that toe ends up becoming an issue, that's a problem. But again, the Packers are a good team. They're fine. They're 8-3. They're going to want to win this game. But this to me is all about the Rams. The Rams have to win. This game I'll be all about focusing on the Rams. The Packers still won't have Aaron Jones. They're still missing, like you said, 2 big offensive linemen. They're still missing defensive players. The Rams have to take advantage of this. This is the game here for the Rams to get back on track. If not, we'll see what happens from there. You talked about the 49ers team, and you talked about how if the Rams don't win this, maybe the Rams start falling down even further, and that 49ers team just did a whooping on the Rams 2 weeks ago. They're now rolling. This is a huge game this week. Vikings at 49ers, the 2 top wild cards in the NFC right here. What are your thoughts on this game?
I think it's going to be a huge, huge game in my opinion, especially because the loser gets that tiebreaker for one and puts another L on the other person, other team there to drop them down in the wild card standings a little bit. It's going to be a huge, huge game. I did see that the Vikings are going to be missing both their D tackles and Everson Griffin. I mean, I hope he gets better with all the stuff going on with him, but they're going to be missing those 3. That's going to be devastating against that 49ers rushing attack that's found its legs these last 2 weeks. Shanahan's kind of back to calling the plays he likes to call, obviously. So with that rushing attack, them missing that is going to be a bad, bad matchup for that Vikings defense. The good news is Kirk Cousins and them playing in that 1 o'clock window, they're dominant on offense. So I expect this to be high scoring. I think the Niners are going to put up a lot of points on the ground and probably try to keep Jimmy G from making too many mistakes because they're actually undefeated when he doesn't throw a pick this year. When they've lost all their games when he throws a pick, won all the ones where he hasn't. So I think they're going to try to keep him as safe as possible. I think the Vikings are going to put up points in the air because that's what they do best. The Niners corners are not that good. And if you block up Nick Bosa, that's really their one lone pressure guy. I feel like it's going to be a high-scoring game. Vikings through the air, Niners on the ground. I feel like the winner of this setting themselves up beautifully to definitely make the playoffs after this.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a massive game, and this is a 425 game. It's a 425 Fox game, but it's technically like the game of the week will be the Rams Packers, so that it's not going to be the spotlight game. So it's technically still a 1 o'clock game. If it was the game of the week on Fox, then you might start to worry. But I completely agree. I actually think that this could be a high scoring game. I think that there could be a lot of points on both sides of the ball. I just think the 49ers have found a little bit of themselves right now, and the Vikings have too, and the Vikings are doing a great job. But when Kyle Shanahan starts to get the offense moving the way he wants it to move, it changes everything. Now, something we still do have to focus on, Elijah Mitchell still hasn't practiced this week. That is their workhorse back. I know they've used other guys like Deebo Samuel and other running backs, but clearly I think Elijah Mitchell brings the running game in a different aspect that Kyle Shanahan likes it as. So if he doesn't play again, that's going to be something to watch and see if that could affect them a little bit. But overall, I like the 49ers in this game because they're at home. That, to me, is the only difference in these teams right now. I think the Vikings play way better at home, and I think the 49ers are a team that they can use that home field advantage to them. I think Kirk Cousins falls off a little bit when he's not at home. He still can play well, but it's so much different for him when he's in that dome with those fans. So because of that, I'm giving it. But I'm telling you, man, whoever wins this game, I think you can pretty much lock in for a wild card spot. I think you could pretty much lock both of them in unless they have a collapse. But whoever wins this game, they go to 6-5. And I know that doesn't sound great, but just with the way the rest of the NFC is, I think you can 100% lock in the winner of this game into a wild card spot.
Yeah, completely agree with that. I actually think it's funny. The 49ers actually play bad at
Worse
home.
at home.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about though is true though. Kirk Cousins is going to play worse on the road. It's all about Cousins doing that.
No, and I think that the 49ers kind of got that off of them in that home win against the Rams. Yeah, that was their first win at home. Maybe they shucked that off a little bit because you're right. Before that, they were playing terrible at home.
I do want to bring this up because I find it interesting. Obviously, I'm a draft nerd. Dude, they made the wrong pick when they picked Trey Sermon in the third round. I
100.
think I don't know if that was a Lynch or a Shanahan debacle on the thinking of it, but he doesn't fit their scheme whatsoever. Because when I watch them a decent amount, and I watched the whole game against the Jags. Obviously, Trey Sermon does not hit the hole fast. He's kind of a dancer, and Shanahan hates that in the back. Hates it. So I wouldn't be shocked if he gets traded in the offseason, no lie, because I just don't think he fits the scheme, and they have like 6 backs, so they just rotate in and out. Elijah Mitchell's obviously going to be the one going forward, and then they have Wilson Jr. and Hasty and all these other ones behind them. So I don't know. I don't think they can develop that out of Sermon. But like you were saying, even if they are missing Mitchell, they'll probably just throw Debo back there again a lot of times to go with Jeff Wilson. It'll be a lot of misdirection. And now that they've got Kittle back, I mean, they essentially have what it's crazy to watch. They essentially have 7 offensive linemen on the field. Is what it is. The five O linemen run block well. The right side doesn't pass block well, but they run block super well. You got Trent Williams on the left. So if you ever need yards, literally just a toss to the left. If you run Juszczyk and Kittle to that side with Trent Williams, it's hard to not get a yard over there. Like they're going to blow people up. So Shanahan's definitely got his like bag back together now that he has Kittle back, because Kittle's so influential in the run game. Like I said, it's going to be all about limiting Jimmy G and making sure Jimmy G doesn't give that explosive Vikings offense some extra time, some extra possessions, because that's what it's going to come down to. If the Vikings get a couple turnovers, I think they'll be in good shape to throw the ball to Jefferson and Thielen and really torch those corners. If they don't get the extra possessions, I can see some 12, 13, 15 play drives, 2-3 of them, keep Jimmy G under control, and the Niners dominate that way. But either way, like we've been saying, both are going to make the playoffs, in my opinion. It's just the winner of this feels more guaranteed to do it no matter what.
Yep, no doubt about that one. I completely agree with you on that. That's going to be one of the best games to watch out for. If you look at what was the other game I do want to quickly hit on this one because I think that we should. The Titans Patriots, and this is moving back to the AFC here. The reason why this is a big game to me, well, first of all, it's an 8-3 team and a 7-4 team. The Titans just came off a awful loss against the Texans at home too, by the way. This happens all the time in the NFL. So you want to know, was it a fluke? Was it a letdown? Or is this something to really be concerned about moving forward? Is the loss of Derrick Henry really starting to come up to him? It's not just the loss of Derrick Henry. It's the loss of Julio Jones. A.J. Brown is banged up like no other. And I want to see now, what does Bill Belichick do when all he has to worry about is Ryan Tannehill? That's it. And he's going to do everything he can to make Ryan Tannehill have a terrible game. Now, the other end of that, though, is Mike Vrabel has had success against Bill Belichick. He has had a lot of success, including in the playoffs against Bill Belichick. I cannot wait to see how he game plans against Mac Jones.
Yes, I think Vrabel's going to definitely have a game plan for Mac Jones, like you were talking about. Vrabel's actually a really good coach. He's underrated.
A great coach.
He's very underrated. As much as I hate to say it, because I hate the Titans so much, being a Jags fan. We kind of have a rivalry thing, even though they're better than us right now. But, I mean, Vrabel's so good. He is underrated. I got to give it to you Titans fans out there. It's going to be interesting to see because they actually have front four pressure. But the Patriots' offensive line is really good. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how that goes, especially since the Patriots and Titans both want to slam you in the mouth each way. The problem is not having Derrick Henry back there makes it hard for them to really run the ball, and it becomes a more Tannehill show. If A.J. Brown doesn't go, I think the Patriots might blow them out. I think it's really like if they don't have Julio, A.J. Brown, or Henry, I don't think it's too much to ask of Ryan Tannehill to throw to some no-name receivers on a Bill Belichick coach defense, even though Vrabel is a good coach and all that. If they have A.J. Brown, I think we see more of a slugfest type game. A.J. might could pop one or really move the chains a few times to help the Titans score, and it'd be a closer game. It's going to come down to if A.J.'s playing or not, really, in my opinion. Because if he's not out there, then Belichick's going to have them scheme to a T, and it might look a lot like that Atlanta game where they can't move the ball. It really might be that way.
Even though Atlanta shot themselves in the foot for a ton of those. But yes, you're right. There's no doubt about that. I actually think, and it's interesting, it's one of the It's one of the lowest over-unders on the week at 44, and I actually think it might stay under that. Like, I don't see that many points happening because I think you're right. Both teams are going to have a game plan for the other's offense, but I do like that Patriots 6.5 if A.J. Brown does not go. Even if A.J. Brown does go, I could see the Patriots winning this by a touchdown. Them being at home, the Titans just lack of weapons. But I'll tell you this, man, if the Titans do lose this game, finally they start to fall off a little bit of what people are starting to say about them. That's going to be something to watch. They still have such a good command, especially in the division, where they should be fine in that case, but they're falling off in terms of having a lead in the AFC, and that's when things start to get a little bit interesting from there.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely win the division just because I know, like
because
I said,
they beat the Colts twice too.
yeah,
That's
they
the
beat
main
the Colts
thing.
twice. Plus, their schedule will lighten up a little bit too going
Yeah.
forward. I know they're going to have to play the Jags again, and I know the Jags haven't won in Tennessee in I think like 8-9 years. So they're gonna lose the game. So, the Titans they'll lighten up a little bit. I don't think they're going to be the 1 seed by any means. Even when they were sitting there at the 1 seed, I didn't really think they were going to be the 1 seed there. Like, I just feel like they're solid in control of the division because I think the Colts are going to lose a few here soon. I think their heater is going to come to the end probably this weekend, in my opinion. But I know me and you are kind of on opposite sides of that. I think the Colts are going to kind of slow down here soon, and they'll make the playoffs, in my opinion, maybe, or maybe hit that wild card, but I don't think they're going to come anywhere close to win the division. It's just I think the Titans might go into the playoffs being kind of a limping team and maybe be on upset alert against whatever wild card team they have to face, just depending on if they could get Henry back or when that timing comes in or whatever that's happening, because Tannehill he isn't a carry you guy. He's a solid player. He's just not going to carry you.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I think the Colts do make the playoffs. I'm still pretty high on the Colts. I just think they're so well coached, and I'm just so high on teams that are so well coached during this time of the year. With November, December, January comes all about coaching and health and all that stuff, and they're finally starting to get healthy. Jonathan Taylor's an absolute monster. But that's something for a different game, different day that we can look at once we get closer to the playoffs. What was the next game that you wanted to talk about here, Shawn?
Well, really, we could. I was actually going to bring this up because I didn't really think about it. You want to hit on Jason Garrett getting fired right quick because that's kind of a dumpster fire themselves in New York, and New York has a big fan base. I know you're close with a New York Giants fan too, so I'm sure he's talked to you about it.
He's happy.
So, yeah, I'm sure.
I'll tell you that.
So, obviously that's inept, the way the Giants been playing. And Danny Dimes isn't the guy, in my opinion. He hasn't been the guy since last year. That's been my opinion on him. I wasn't a big fan of the pick to start with. No offense to Gettleman. I'm not a big Gettleman guy. I haven't been a big fan of his draft picks. It kind of makes me laugh out loud watching their draft, to be honest, the prospects they choose. But, I mean, the way they played offense on Monday night, it was just bad, especially for a year 3 quarterback. I mean, I know we've talked about Justin Fields and Wilson and Trevor Lawrence's struggles. That's what Danny Dimes looked like, and he's in his 3rd year. You can't look like that at this point.
No.
Especially with the caliber of weapon and team they have. You can't have a rebuild look like that year 3 and expect for heads to not roll. It's bad there, and I understand firing Garrett kind of, but I mean, you kind of got to clean house after the year, don't you think?
You know, the Gettleman's the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Garrett, the offense it's inexcusable. Garrett had to go. Garrett should have gone weeks ago. It's so dumb that they waited for after the bye. Garrett should have gone before the bye week or during the bye week. It's nonsense that they waited till now. Garrett was not doing a good job, but man, this is all on Gettleman. What the hell do they have to work with out there? Look at the amount of offensive linemen he's drafted. They all suck. I mean, they literally all suck. And the ones that he brought in, like Nate Solder, it's all been terrible moves. He's done a good job bringing in skill position players, but half of them can't stay healthy. And it doesn't matter when Daniel Jones is either inaccurate because you made the wrong pick with that, or he doesn't have the time to throw the football. Jason Garrett didn't help the situation because to me, he's just not that good of a play caller anymore. Like he should have never even been the one hired for that position. The question now becomes, because Gettleman's gone. Like if Gettleman's not fired, then the Vikings fan, I mean the Giants fans should riot. I mean, they should lose their absolute heads if he's not fired. Gettleman's gone. The question becomes, is Joe Judge gone? And I know it's hard to say, how can you fire a GM and leave the head coach? And I think what the Giants should do is they should find the GM that they want to hire before making the decision about Judge. And they should tell the GM, we're giving you all the power. We are going to hire you. If you want to keep Judge, you keep Judge. If you want to keep Daniel Jones, you keep Daniel Jones. If you want to clear house, you clear house. They need to get one guy to make those decisions, whether that's Louis Riddick or whether that's someone else. They need to have one guy make that decision. But the main thing is Gettleman has to go, because if Gettleman uses those 2 first-round picks that are going to be top 10 picks, both of them, the Giants are screwed for 5 more years.
Yeah, he's his first round picks are atrocious. I mean, just think back about the Daniel Jones one. Thank God he chose him, because Josh Allen went to us after that. They have no pass rush. Think they could use Josh Allen out there and Blue out there? They could have had him. I mean, then the 3 draft pick year, they had DeAndre Baker on the back end. He had all sorts of trouble, and then he's on the Chiefs now. It's like he played 1 year for them, and I mean, stop it off. I know he got injured, so it's hard to say, but Saquon at 2. That's like the case study as to why you don't draft a running back in the top 10. I mean, no matter how good they are. I mean, you look at Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is essentially Saquon Barkley, drafted in the 2nd round, though.
Yeah, it's such a waste of a pick, man. It's such a waste. I don't care how good you are. I think Zeke's a dumb pick. I honestly think he's a great player. That was a dumb pick at that point. Like,
yeah.
McCaffrey's the one that you could say, because McCaffrey does so much. But now look at him. He's falling apart. Like, you just never can use running backs that high. But it's not, like you said, it's all of the picks, bro. Andrew Thomas that high. Look, I get it. He's been injured. We don't know how good he is. Get the hell out of here. Do you see all the good offensive linemen that went after him? The guy just is bad at evaluating talent. He's not a good talent evaluator. He's not.
I mean, we talked about the tackles in that draft beforehand, too. And Andrew Thomas was like a safe pick technically and everything. But, I mean, Wirfs, Jedrick Wills, Mekhi Becton, they all had way bigger upside than him, and he took him at 4. He just does weird stuff, man. It's bad to watch, honestly. It's almost hilarious to sit there and think, like, who's he going to pick? Because that's kind of the thing. But he's got to go, to be honest. If the Giants want to get turned around, he's going to have to go. They're going to have to get a football czar in there that takes over, decides who the coach is, decides what they want to do at quarterback, tries to fix things, because I don't think Danny Dimes is the guy. It's not going to be Daniel Jones. He's going to go on to be a backup. He'll be like a Trubisky this year, coming year. And speaking of that, we should talk about that. Have you seen the reports Nagy's probably getting fired?
Yeah, I mean,
what a weird way to do something, man. That's so strange.
Such a shit show of a way. And it's such a shit show of a way. It just points to a bad organization. But real quick, one thing about to all you Giants fans out there, I know it looks miserable right now, but you are actually in a really good spot for a bad team to be in, because you're going to have 2 top 10 picks. Like, if you can get the right person in there to make those picks right, and then get rid of Daniel Jones and bring in someone like a Mitchell Trubisky for a placeholder year. Maybe see what he can do if you put some talent around him. Or maybe, you know what? Maybe Russell Wilson wants to become a Giant, and you have 2 first-round picks to help him out with that. Like, there are so many things that can turn this franchise the right way if they hit on these next 2 first-round picks. And I know it's not a great quarterback class. That's fine. Get talent. Just get talent with those picks. Hit on those picks, and everything can change. So it's not as bad for the Giants if they get rid of Gettleman and they bring in the right person.
Yeah, agree, because that's a sneaky spot for Russell Wilson, like you said. Russell Wilson's going to want to go somewhere that Ciara wants to go to. Yeah. She's an entertainer, so New York's definitely a destination. I think Russell probably left them off the list because I guess he thought Daniel Jones was there kind of for the long haul or whatever. Maybe he doesn't like Gettleman that much either. I mean, you can look throughout the league and be like, oh, I don't know if I want him as the GM picking things like that. So, but you're right on the Russell Wilson thing. That's actually a sneaky good destination for him. And, I mean, they have players. It's not like they don't have players. Their skill positions, even though they don't stay healthy, they can play. I mean, Saquon's still serviceable. He just isn't going to be the number 2 Hall of Fame jacket guy Gettleman called him. I mean, Andrew Thomas can play. He's just not as good as the other tackles in the draft. It's just they're going to have to get somebody in there to make some changes, get a new quarterback in there. And they have a lot more hope than what the Bears do, because what the Bears have their hope in is just Fields, and that's it. They have Justin Fields, and that's it. But I don't know how you fire Nagy after the short week game. You've already announced it, essentially. It got leaked out. So he's going to go coach a game as a lame duck with the backup quarterback that he seems to love. And you're not going to fire Pace, who's done all the picking for all the players that are so bad. They need to clean house too. It's such a I don't understand what's going on with the Bears, because they used to not be considered like a dumpster fire franchise, but they're really leaning towards that. Like, this is some stuff you'd see the Jags do, the Browns do, some stuff like that. Like, it's real weird over there too. They're kind of a dumpster fire right now, firing Nagy and then having him coach the game still.
And then having it leaked out, and it's so dysfunctional, bro. And if I was Matt Nagy, to be honest, I would just quit. Why the hell am I going to go coach this game after now the whole entire world knows that my ass is getting canned right after it? Like, that's a slap in the face to him, and maybe he deserves it. I mean, he's done a terrible job, But the whole organization is it's just a terrible spot right now, and their organization is living on the threads of who they hire to groom Justin Fields. Justin Fields is a high prospect talent, but make no mistake about it, nobody is able to just do great with bad coaching. Trevor Lawrence, you don't get a good coach in there, Trevor Lawrence will fall the hell off just like anybody other quarterback out there. These guys aren't invincible. They're Tom Brady needed damn good coaching. If they don't bring in the right coach for Justin Fields, he's done. And that organization is done, man. This is the most crucial point in the history of their organization.
Yeah, again, people really underrate how important it is to have a real genius on offense to help groom a young quarterback. Everyone always talks about Luck. Luck had Arians for 3 years, man. I mean, the first 2 years of his career, Arians was there guiding him along. I mean, you look at Justin Herbert, how he's playing. He has Lombardi there. Nobody really talks about him because he's just an offensive coordinator. He was Drew Brees' quarterback coach for 10 years. He was under Sean Payton the whole time there. That's coaching, man. Like, these young quarterbacks, I mean, as much as people like to, shit on Cliff about being a head coach, he's brought Kyler along, man.
Yes.
Like Andy Reid and Mahomes. People underrate the coaching part of things so hard, and you're going to have to get Fields. You're going to have to get Fields some elite coaching. It's got to be an offensive guy. I think you got to look at Bieniemy and Daboll. Those are the two you got to look at. You got to look at the guy that's helped groom Mahomes, helped him, because Fields has that type of athletic arm talent type of style out there where he can move around and throw and do all that. You got to look at those two. A sneaky one too I look at Greg Roman a little bit. Just if you want to run that Lamar type of offense with Justin Fields, because he can do it. He's not going to be as elusive as Lamar, but he's got the speed to run that type of offense. I think you could have Greg Roman really develop him as well. Those are the top three I'd look at. But I mean, firing Nagy after what's going to happen? He's playing the Lions. What happens if Andy Dalton wins? You're going to fire him after a win? It's as asinine as can be.
It is. To be honest. But the main name that's going to come up, right?
Oh, who?
It's Ryan Day.
No,
that's who's going to be the guy that all these Bears fans are going to want. It's Justin Fields. It's the Midwest. It's Ohio State. It's the Bears. Ryan Day is going to be the guy that comes up. Why in the hell would Ryan Day want to take that job? I think Ryan Day has one of the best jobs in the world right now. If I was him, I would not want it. But that's not being disrespectful to the Bears, by the way, at all. I'm just saying, when you're winning life at Ohio State and you look at the quarterback pipeline that he has right now and the talent pipeline that he has in right now, I wouldn't leave anywhere. And he's making sure of a hell of a lot of money. That's going to be the guy, though, that everybody's going to talk about. But I'm with you. That's not going to happen. So I think that you got to go get a Daboll. You got to get someone like that is going to – his whole purpose is coming in there to groom and fix Fields to a standpoint that is just makes him worth the pick that he was and the talent that we saw at Ohio State. So 100% agree.
Yeah, the other two everyone's going to throw out is Brian Kelly. Everyone's going to throw Brian Kelly out there. And then also everyone's going to throw you're muted.
I don't know what. Yeah, can you hear my dog barking?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the other one everyone's going to throw out there is Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern. It's been like long rumored that the only job he'd ever leave Northwestern for would be the Bears. So I think he'll probably have his agent sniffing around there to see if that's what they want to do. But honestly, the Ryan Day thing is actually kind of spicy because a lot of like the little rumors that go around, like I said, I've got a like connection with Jacksonville, obviously. Urban Meyer didn't want to pull his staff from under Ryan Day. I think you might see a lot of that staff start leaving, especially if they win the national title, if they can upset somebody this year. Because I have a funny feeling he's going to be trying to get Hartline to come coach the receivers in Jacksonville. If Day starts losing his staff, that would be an interesting one. Hey, I won a national title. I can always go back and coach in college. That'd be a spicy take right there. And I like that name you threw out because I have a feeling he's going to start getting his coaching staff gutted this year.
And that will be interesting to see if that makes him want to make a different move. I still think he loves Ohio State. Like, I think that's why Urban left the situation. He knew Ryan Day was in it for the long run, but you never know. He loved Fields. And maybe he looks at Fields and he says, that's my guy. I'm going to go win it in the NFL. You're so right about Notre Dame's coach as well, Brian Kelly. And I personally, to me, if I'm the Bears, I think it's so important about Fields. I think it has to be someone that is truly inside the NFL that knows how to develop quarterbacks, or it has to be Ryan Day. That's my opinion. I think Ryan Day should be the only college coach you go after. Other than that, I think it's the other. Look, Dan Mullen, he might get brought up, but Dan Mullen could end up being like a Cliff Kingsbury because Dan Mullen, look, like Cliff just wasn't fit for college. He came into the NFL and worked perfect. Dan Mullen is an X and O's guy. Dan Mullen can do coaching, but Dan Mullen just isn't mature enough to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears. So that's not going to happen. I'm with you, though, on just the offensive coordinator guru type of guys. It's going to be huge. But real quick, back to Nagy. Nagy can go be a great play caller somewhere. He can go be an offensive coordinator somewhere. It's just there was just too many mistakes that have made within what he did during his time. Wasn't all his fault. Pace did not help him out. But there was too many mistakes that happened, and he never did the actual job that he was brought there to do, which was make Trubisky a good football player.
Yeah, completely agree. Pace has got to go too. You got to clear house there for sure. And a smart follow through for Nagy would honestly be, I think it is time that Bieniemy gets a job. Just go back with Andy Reid. Just at this point, just go do that. So completely agree. So you want to get into our game right quick since it's kind of the last one there. All right, so we got the dumpster fire bowl going on this Sunday. We got the how bad can our teams suck against each other. So that's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, if I'm going to lose to a team, I hope it's to Kayvon. So at least it's my guy. You know.
Thank you.
It's going to be an interesting one. What I'm looking for on the Jags side, I'll speak to the Jags side. What I want to see Trevor Lawrence have a good game against a bad Falcons defense. I want to see a good game plan. I know the local media's had the offensive coordinator on Darrell Bevell and everything. He's saying we got to get it back on track. It's everyone. We've got to make sure we're not dropping the ball at receiver. We got to protect, which they shouldn't have a problem against because the Falcons really struggle to get pressure. We've got to have the catches made, and we've got to scheme open some receivers. I'm glad Bevell called himself out on that about doing better on play calling. So I want to see Trevor Lawrence have a good game, win or lose for the Jags, because I feel like that's what needs to happen right here. We need to see some more progress after these last two bad games he's played. So let's see some better offensive play call. Let's see Trevor Lawrence play well, and I'll be happy win or lose because I'm in a different spot than Kayvon. Kayvon has an older quarterback where you want to win games this year. So I'll let you talk about what you want to see out of your team, obviously. But I just want to see Trevor Lawrence have a good game. That's what most Jags fans want to see anyway.
Yeah, and that's what you should be focused on. And again, if he doesn't have a good game, it doesn't mean, holy crap, this guy's going to suck, throw the hands up, all that stuff. It's just, it would be very, very refreshing for you guys to see him pick apart a very bad defense, which he should because he's very talented. For the Falcons, man, I just want to see the offense be better. We haven't scored a touchdown in 2 games. We haven't, let me repeat that, guys. That is the worst that has ever happened in Matt Ryan's era. Matt Ryan's never gone a game without throwing a touchdown, without throwing a touchdown, without scoring a touchdown. We haven't scored a touchdown in 2 ball games now. Like Arthur Smith, I don't care if Patterson's not back. I don't care if Ridley's not back. I want to see you be more creative because while the Jags defense has been better as of late, they're still a bad football team. Okay. And if we don't get ways to get the ball out of Matt Ryan's hand, Josh Allen is going to eat Matt Ryan up. He is going to destroy Matt Ryan if we don't find ways to get the ball out of his hands. This is a must win for the Falcons. And it's not because of the playoffs or anything like that. It's because if they don't win this game, this is going to end up becoming a disaster first season for Arthur Smith, which this was actually a really pretty decent season before these last two games. And if we can win this game and kind of get back on right, not winning out or anything like that, but just showing improvement, then it's going to end up as a good season for Arthur Smith. Because whether people thought about it or not, this was, unless Ridley was fully healthy and everyone was healthy and the defense took steps up, this wasn't going to be some great team. We just don't have the personnel for it. But it's turned into, okay, wait, maybe we do have the chance to make a playoffs too. What the hell has happened? Arthur Smith has to get that turned around this week against the Jaguars.
Yeah, so y'all should definitely beat us. I mean, we have no business really beating anyone unless they have an off week or unless we see some massive offensive improvement. We're just not good enough to score like that. And the defense has been playing better, but they're not good enough to really hold teams down either. Like, I mean, they held Buffalo, but Buffalo has no run game whatsoever. The Jags do have a decent run defense. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you see Jonathan Taylor running all over everybody. He had all his yards and points in the first half against the Jags. They shut him down in the second half. So that front seven is going to be there. It's going to be all about whether Matt Ryan can carve us. I will say this, Pitts should have a massive day against our team. We can't cover tight ends to save our lives. That's just how it is. We haven't been able to cover a tight end for 3 years now. So he should have a massive day. I mean, the receivers and corner matchup, that's going to be kind of a toss-up. Our corners are I mean, Shaq Griffin's pretty decent. He does good coverage, and Tyson Campbell's improving. But, I mean, it's not anything super special either. Like, just like the receiving core that you have. I mean, Gage is kind of solid, but the rest of them are like that. It's going to be definitely a good matchup defense versus offense-wise for you guys and our defense. It's going to be interesting to see. I kind of want to see how Pitts plays because I think he'll do well. I don't know if y'all are going to be able to run the ball that much on us, though, to be honest.
We don't run on anyone.
Yeah, that's the one strength we have is run defense. Yeah. So that's going to be how it goes.
We don't have a running back. I mean, we don't have a freaking running back. Quadri Olson's our best running back. Like, we don't run the ball, so don't worry on that.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to come down to, for the Jag side, is can Trevor score points and get a good solid game going on his side? Because honestly, that's the way they'd win this game. Is if Trevor comes out, has a good game, scores, gets us to that 24-point mark. I feel like that's almost a win for the Jags right there. That might be the game for them, because I don't know the Falcons offense, unless they get an explosion going, I don't know, they might put up about 21, 24 on us as well. So that's where that game's going to be right there. It's two bad teams right now. I mean, the way the Falcons are playing, they've been playing bad. We're obviously a bad team looking forward to next year and stuff like that. So we're just going to go for improvement. It's going to be a fun one because we host the show. We like the team so much. Yeah. But I'm not going to let this one like ruin my week or my weekend that bad unless something catastrophic, and knock on wood, as long as Trevor doesn't get hurt or anything like that, I'll be fine.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This would be one of those games that would ruin my week if we were winning like the previous two games. Like, or even if we were like 5-5, say we split the Cowboys-Patriots game and we were 5-5, right in it with the Vikings and 49ers, and then we came and lost to you guys, that would be something that ruined my week. But now that I'm already so down about what's happened, it's not going to ruin my week. It's going to be a fun game. I hope we can win. But back to your point with Trevor Lawrence, last thing, and then we'll move on here. I want to see them come out with a scripted first drive where Trevor drives straight down the field and at least gets 3 points. If Darrell Bevel can't put together a scripted first drive for him, bro, because that's what every team does to us. Every team is able to put together a scripted first drive that looked so good against us. Maybe they don't score 7. Maybe we stop in the red zone, they get 3. But I want to see that. That's what I'll be really watching for, to see what Darrell Bevel can put up for Lawrence right at the start.
Yeah, that's what I want to see too. I just want to see some solid play calls. I want to see Lawrence have his accuracy good. He's been decently accurate. The Colts game, he was off. The rest of the time, he's decently accurate. I just want to see the receivers catch the ball when it's thrown straight to him, especially on third down. We have so many third down drops that really kills the drive. And then it makes him more skittish as the game goes on, whether to throw to that person or not. I just want to see a solid, clean game on offense and just give us a good 24, 28 point game somewhere around there. Like, at least let it be an entertaining game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah,
No
that's
doubt
what I
about
want.
it, man. That's a great stuff. It will be fun, and we will break it down without a doubt on Monday to see who's having fun and who is taking the loss as well.
Yeah,
But
get your
yeah,
bet
anyone
ideas
else?
in there.
What?
Get your bet ideas in there
Yeah.
for what we can do on the show
I was
beforehand.
just about to say, anyone out there with a great idea of what the loser has to do, let us know. Give us a comment. We really appreciate it. Be creative. That makes it fun. Shawn, I think it's time for locks of the week, man. Third and Shawn, you're third. And am I right, or did I miss something?
No, third and short, third and long. It's time to go. Yep.
You go
All right.
first.
All right, third and short, third and long, everybody. For those who's just tuning in, maybe you just called us on Spotify since we're up there now. Maybe you're catching us on Google Pod. Maybe it's your first time listening on any of the other platforms we're on. Third and short, third and long. We're the Money Down podcast. That's the third down in the NFL. Money down. Here we go. Third and short. These are our locks of the week. What we think is going to happen no matter what. This is our best bet. Mine, Kayvon's going to disagree with, so I'm curious to hear his pushback. I like Bucks -3 against the Colts. I think the Colts have been on an absolute heater these last few weeks. I think they're bound to come down a little bit. I think what they do the best is run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. I think that's what the Bucks defend the best. I like the Bucks defense going against Jonathan Taylor. And the Colts defense is low-key a little bit torchable. They got pressure on Josh Allen, who also struggled against the Jags. But the Jags in the second half against the Colts actually moved the ball well against them. I can see Brady kind of carving that defense up a little bit. I like the Bucks to win that game outright and outright for the money line or to or the -3, either one, whichever you're feeling like putting money on. I like that one.
All right, for mine. And listen, I'm not going to pick the Colts, but I do think that the Colts have a good chance of winning this game. It's at home. I think that by the way, the Bucks are a completely different team in Tampa and out of Tampa. Crazy stat. I saw that they're averaging over 30 points a game at home, and they're down to like 17 points a game on the road. So that's something the Bucks really have to get right if they want to make another playoff run and really move up in those NFC standings. For me, though, I can't put money on the Colts because it's the Bucks and they're starting to look back to form. For me, I'm going with the Steelers +4.5. This is a huge game in the AFC North here. The Steelers have tied to the they've tied to the Lions when Big Ben wasn't playing, and they lost an absolute dogfight, a shootout of a fight against the Chargers on Sunday Night Football last week. The Bengals, they finally got back on the schneid after losing 2 in a row to the Browns and the Jets. This is a must-win game here for the Steelers in my mind, because if the Steelers lose this game, they drop to 5-1, and the Bengals go up to 7-4. Mike Tomlin knows that. Big Ben knows that. I don't know if that they will win this game. I do think they will, like to give you my prediction, but I do think that even if they did to lose it, it's a 3-point contest. I think this is a very close game. I like the 4 in the hook that I'm getting. Give me the Steelers 4.5.
Yeah, love the cover for sure. Definitely on that. I don't know if Watt's playing. That's going to be a big thing. Watt and Fitzpatrick. Yeah. I think Fitzpatrick should be back. He was COVID, I believe. But if Watt's playing and Fitzpatrick's back, I do kind of like the Steelers to win. If they're not playing, I still like them to cover, obviously. I don't think the Bengals are good enough to just blow anybody out like that. It'll definitely be more of a shootout. It'll be a fantasy football type game if both of those two are out. But if they're in, I kind of like those Steelers on the money line right along with you this week. So that's a
no doubt about that. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And something check the injury reports. That's important. You know, like, look, we've been doing really good with these picks, so take our advice on it, but don't just blind bet anything that anyone tells you. Look at the injury report, make sure everything's right before it. But to Shawn's point, if those guys are back, that line might end up moving down, and you want to get that line over 3 because that's such a key number right there. So that's a big thing to look at. For a 3rd and long, that's something we're going to have to tweet out a little bit later, depending on lines. But I will tell you one line that I know for sure. It's a prop bet. You can get Gronk to have 2 touchdowns at +250. The Colts are one of the worst defenses against tight ends. They're a great defense, but against tight ends, they do a really poor job. Gronk is looking healthy again. Gronk should have a very big game against that Colts defense. Look for that line. That prop hasn't come out yet, but usually 2 touchdowns is around 250 to like 350. So it's a big variance, but it's a good money bet.
Yeah, so here's a good third and long for you too. We were just talking about the Jags Falcons game. So Dan Arnold has been the most consistent pass catcher that the team has had so far. And last week he had 0 targets. Darrell Bevel came out in his press conference. He said, that's completely on me. I didn't design up enough plays to get him involved. I didn't design passes where he's the first or second read. So like Kayvon was talking about, the Falcons are bad on the first script. I like Dan Arnold to get his first touchdown of the year, so you can just do a touchdown anytime bet, which is going to be some good money since he hadn't had one all year. Or if you want to go with that opening script that Kayvon said, put a little money down on that first touchdown if the Jags were to get the ball first, because I feel like whoever wins the toss is going to defer. Falcons might defer to the Jags. If they're on script good, don't be surprised if Dan Arnold don't get in the end zone first for everybody.
Yeah, no, that's a good play right there. Dan Arnold's been awesome too when they are looking his way. So great stuff there. Great stuff on the show today, Shawn. Once again, happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays. Thank you out there, everyone, for listening. Please give us a subscribe, like the show, comment. We really do appreciate it. We had a really good comment for the college football show. We shouted him out. We went really in depth about what we wanted to talk about from what he wanted to talk about. So it was a great time. Give us your thoughts on anything you want us to talk about, and we will bring it up. Shawn, you got anything to say?
No, I hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving, and I hope everyone keeps listening. Give us the likes and all that, and make sure you comment. Everybody do good. Have a good weekend.
No doubt. Have a great weekend. We will talk to you next week. Peace out.